Yep, we're reviewing that game. This wasn't the greatest game to watch, to be honest, but a lot of interesting tactical analysis picked up. So Arsenal set up in their typical 4-3-3, and Gabriel came back in for Kiwior, who, because Gabriel was suspect of going on, transfer deal potentially to Saudi Arabia, but that wasn't the case. And Arsenal set up really well. What they want to do is control possession and put pressure on United's back line. But United set up really deep. They didn't really have a lot of space between the defensive line and the midfield line. And to be honest, Martial was dropping in a lot, so there was never really a recognised striker up top. And for the majority of the first half, like Arsenal were pushing towards United, and they were trying to get Martinelli and Saka into the mix. But unfortunately, fortunately for United, Diogo Dalot just completely. I felt like he completely kept Saka quiet. Wan-Bissaka, on the other hand, he had a bit more trouble with dealing with Martinelli, but overall he did quite well and prevented him from getting a lot of crosses in. And that was what a lot of Arsenal's kind of best attacks were from, was kind of deeper crosses. And in the first half, they didn't have many chances, but obviously Kai Havertz had a shot where he shanked it and then was subsequently blocked by Lissandro Martinez from Nketiah, I believe. And I feel sorry for him because I thought he is struggling to fit into the system, and I don't think it helps that he is already an enemy, given that he was a Chelsea player, the fee that's been paid for him. That it just isn't the greatest situation for him. But I think he hasn't. He has the ability. He has shown good industry, and we saw it in the second half. Granted, United did really well to break on the counter to get their first goal, and it was a good finish. And it was a great finish by Rashford. Just too much power for Ramsdale, but then Odegaard instant reply. And that's and it was 1-1 going into the second half. And then Kai Havertz with a good late run, kind of what he was really good at when he was playing a few times for Chelsea, but mostly in his Bayer Leverkusen days. And I'm surprised that wasn't a penalty. Like, it was soft, and he did go down quite softly, but I do think that there was contact, there was enough for a foul, and I was surprised it got overturned. I say once Anthony Taylor got brought over to the monitor, he kind of had to change it, but in the end, it was, it didn't matter, but it almost did, because in the 87th, 88th minute, Alejandro Garnacho came on. Great run. I don't know. Gabriel with a bit of a lean to keep his feet offside, and he was just offside by the smallest margins. And I think it was really difficult for United to kind of maintain their defensive shape. I mean, losing Martinez to injury and then Lindelof coming off for Maguire and Evans respectively, they just didn't look as secure. They were playing a lot longer. Onana wasn't able to play possession based, and they kept losing possession in the midfield. And the goal that got Arsenal up to 2-1, Declan Rice is free at the back post, and he's not known for getting a header on the ball, but he should have been marked because he is one of the taller players. He had so much time to take the ball down. He wasn't being pressed. He wasn't being blocked, and he got the finishing deflection from Evans to put it past Onana, and then Gabriel Jesus Arsenal catching United on the break, sitting Onana down and getting the third goal. I mean, it's a huge confidence boost for Arsenal and for Arteta to see his subs come on and make an impact. And United definitely need to figure out what they need to do now during this international break, because it's very difficult for them to just be dealing with this stuff. And I'm surprised just how little has been talked about, with all the controversy going on in the background. I mean, the takeover apparently is off because they want £10 billion, which is stupid. And obviously the Greenwood situation. Like, there's a lot of background noise that's probably affecting the team. But one shining light from this game is that Dalot and Wan-Bissaka defended incredibly well down their wings. Anthony was very industrious, didn't really do much in attack, but not really anyone did. And Rasmus Højlund, who looked really good holding up the play, and he definitely made Gabriel and Saliba's jobs a lot more difficult when he came on. So yeah, that's it for this game, and let's just talk about the rest of the games. Quickly run through the rest of the games. West Ham versus Luton. West Ham didn't really control possession as much as I thought they would. They typically played their normal style, allowed Luton to have the ball, and Luton did have their chances, but West Ham caught them on the break and just could go goals all around from the likes of Jared Bowen. Like, you just saw the quality difference between the two sides, and it's unfortunate to see Kennelworth Road not get a win, because it did sound very intimidating, and they played well. Luton did have their chances, but nothing clear cut. I mean, West Ham defended really well in the game, and obviously Luton getting a goal was really nice to see from, I believe, Anderson. It was a good header cross goal, but it just wasn't enough to get the game back for them. Next was Sheffield United Everton, and this was a game of two keepers having good games. Fotheringham made a few saves. Pickford made an unbelievable double save. And Everton, they both finally got their first points on the board, but I'd say Everton again feel like they probably could have gotten something from this game. I mean, Beto looked alright. They definitely need to work on the goal scoring, but I say they're just relieved to finally get a point on the board. And going into the international break, hopefully Sean Dyche, with the players they still has available, can do something here. Next up is City versus Fulham, and the controversy around City's goal, I believe it was their second by Ake, where Akanji was potentially blocking Leno's view. I think it should have been ruled out, because he definitely was in his line of sight. He didn't directly affect the ball, but he was right there. And as a former keeper, you see that, and you need to almost you have to wait. You have to react later, because you're afraid of that, him getting a touch or something to mess with it. And I think he should have been ruled out. But credit to City, they fought back hard in the second half to give themselves such a huge lead. And Haaland with a hat-trick, and he's the first of 3 players this weekend. Next was Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea, and my word, Chelsea did not look comfortable in this game. They had their chances, but they didn't look like they had an opportune time or an opportune chance. I know Nicholas Jackson missed the goal scoring opportunity in the second half, but otherwise they didn't really have a great chance. Matt Turner wasn't tested that much at all, and even without Brennan Johnson, you saw Anthony Elanga with his incredible pace, catching him on the break, and then I think it was Awani to play it across for him to finish. And it was a very slow motion finish, and I thought Robert Sanchez maybe could have done better, but it's one of those daisy cutters that is just placed incredibly well, and you can't take away from him. And huge for Nottingham Forest to get a win on the road, and especially at Stamford Bridge with the quality of players Chelsea have. It's disappointing for them, and I think Pochettino is going to be drilling them hard now in this international break. Next is Burnley versus Tottenham, and Burnley did capitalise a couple of times on Tottenham's high line, but it just wasn't enough, because Tottenham's attacking style has been really fluid, really high energy. Heung-Min Son getting a hat-trick, number 2 of the day, and I'm really happy to see that for him. He is a top quality forward, and this the last season was kind of curtailed almost by because of his injury, and he is a really talented player, and I'm glad to see him getting the goals. Maddison looks incredible. I mean, Romero's finish for I think it was their second goal, was incredible. I feel sorry for James Trafford. He just looked fed up at this stage. Company will not be pleased with the 3 losses, but he has the international break to figure it out. Postecoglou has definitely changed the fortune of Tottenham, and they don't seem to need a recognised striker, but I think they will at some stage. And obviously they have the young Argentinian that came in, so maybe he might be bet in, but we'll have to wait and see. Brentford managed to maintain their Brentford remain undefeated in the Premier League so far, but they had to get in the 95th minute, courtesy of Brian Mbeumo. Brentford had to maintain the majority of possession. They looked really good going forward. Witsel looked really good at interplay, kind of similar to like Roberto Firmino, and kind of tricks, flicks, and really good movement, but they just didn't kind of get enough to capitalise on their chances. Neto was busy for a bit. Bournemouth did really well breaking the team in transition, because Bournemouth would sit back relatively deep, and as Brentford slowly tried to creep up, that's when Bournemouth struck, and then they got goals in transition. And I say they're disappointed that they didn't hold out for the victory, but Areola looks really competent as a coach in the Premier League, and you're seeing how Rayo Vallecano is struggling immensely. I think they're bottom of La Liga. They definitely miss him, and I say it's looking really good for both teams to finish relatively high in the Premier League. Brighton versus Newcastle, I thought it would be a draw, to be honest, but Brighton did really well to combat Newcastle's deeper lines, and they pressed well, and like we saw in the first goal, that Matoma pressed them high, after Nick Pope with a poor clearance. And it was a great finish by Ferguson for, I think it's the second one, just outside the box. Incredible young striker, and again, he was the 3rd player to get a hat-trick today. And credit to him, he is a very talented player, and I say they're relieved that he's back and he looks fit and firing, because they certainly miss having a target, focal point. Danny Welbeck is a really good industrious player, but it seems that Evan Ferguson has a bit of a striker's quality. He just looks very confident in front of goal. Palace versus Wolves, big game for Hodgson, again showing the attacking quality that they have. Wolves got 2 set-piece goals, and that's always been an issue for Crystal Palace. They seem to struggle at set pieces, and potentially with Rob Holding, that might be help them in the long run. But he is probably their third or fourth choice behind likes of Anderson and Gahey, and they definitely need to kind of sort that out. But Palace going forward was incredible. They definitely deserve to win on the terms of the chances that they had, and Eberechi Eze, incredible again, full head honcho of the team, and definitely deserves the goal that he got. And then lastly was Liverpool versus Villa. I was surprised. I thought that it would either be a very difficult draw. I think I predicted 3-3 in the previous video, but Liverpool looked really strong going forward, and it didn't help that Villa lost their centre back Diego Carlos. I hope he is fine. I hope he recovers, because he missed the whole season last year due to injury, and I hope it is just kind of a muscle strain, trying to get back into things. But Liverpool looked really good, and it seemed that the system that they played really unlocked the gaps between Villa's kind of high line, and they continued playing that same way. And unfortunately, they weren't able to, attack Liverpool that much. They had their chances, but it wasn't kind of surefire. Liverpool did really well in the system. Gomez had a shaky moment, but otherwise, the likes of him and Matip looked competent. In the back. Szoboszlai with an unbelievable finish for the first goal, and he's an exciting player. And it is sad to see them not in the in the Champions League, but going to be able to see them in the Europa League is going to be really interesting to see how they get on. So that's last match review for a couple of weeks. Obviously, we have the international break, but I'm hoping to get a transfer video out in this in the week. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care.